Hello, welcome to Enchantment of Eternity. We're doing a live Q&A discussion, or basically just shooting the shit. Join here, of course, once again, Akton Tamko.
Hello, sorry about the delay. If you're joining us live, I had a plumber come over who was supposed to come over first thing in the morning, and of course, you know how that works. It turns into they showed up at 1 o'clock exactly when we were supposed to do this thing. So, thanks for waiting for those of you who did. And those of you who watch us in the archives, thanks for joining us, watching us in the archives as well.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the delay. Nearly an hour, but that's all good. Yeah, so let's talk about last night's episode of The Watchmen. And I guess
are we doing spoilers?
Yeah, let's just say spoilers
because I don't know how to talk about it without spoilers.
I don't want to filter myself, so.
Okay, so spoilers for episode 4, season 1, episode 4 of Watchmen is what we're going to start off with.
I don't remember what it was called. It had a weird title.
They all have these long titles. It was if you don't like my story, write your own. Or
that's right. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. I think I'm going to have to say, oh, hey, Colonel Doomsday. But I think I'd have to say that's probably my least favorite episode so far.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was interested in this episode.
I didn't hate it, to be clear. I didn't think it was a bad episode. It was just out of the 4 is the one. To me, like I used to use this phrase a lot with The Leftovers. To me, it felt like this episode was going full Lindelof.
It was definitely going full Lindelof. I mean,
a lot of like weird, and I'm not saying that all the weird that it's not going to be answered or resolved. I'm sure a lot of it will, particularly involving what's the dude's name? Ozymandias dude. Yeah. What's his name?
Ozymandias, Adrian Veidt.
Adrian Veidt, yeah. I'm sure most of the stuff involving him will be resolved in the future, but some stuff I think is not going to be. Some stuff I think is.
Well, I think the reason why Lady True is building that big giant thing that people call a clock. I think that's important enough. That's
definitely.
And I think her connection with. What's his name? Will Lewis Gossett? Is his name Will?
Yeah, Will.
I think that will be answered, like what he's doing, why they're working together. I think most of that's going to be answered, quite honestly. I don't think there's much in there that won't be answered.
Yeah, I suppose, but I don't know. It seems like they were just being too like that episode more than any other episode. The whole entire time I was going like, huh? Like what the fuck is going on? And Lube Man.
I could see them like just Lube Man just being random.
I hope they have to. If they don't like resolve Lube Man, it was just that one scene, then that's gonna really take me off.
Yeah, no, but that would be a
because that was so fucking weird.
Yeah. I would hope that they resolve that as well.
I think I was actually laughing when he lubed himself up and just slid in the sewer. I was like, what? Like, even the character was saying, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, that was weird. I think they'll have probably.
But as far as, what's his name? Veidt?
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as him shooting people at the catapult, there's the theory that I think that I've heard that he's actually on Mars. And that Dr. Manhattan has got him trapped in this little bubble. And if that's the case, maybe it could be like a force field type thing. And so when we see the clones were disappearing, they were like leaving the force field and going out into space.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I'd also heard the theory because I guess in the graphic novel and in the movie, he had a base in Antarctica. That had a little bubble around it, so I'd also heard that it could be in Antarctica and there's a little bubble around it. But I find it more interesting for him to be on Mars.
Yeah,
and that would make what do they call it, the Game Warden or something?
Yeah, the Game Warden.
And it would be Dr. Manhattan. Then I think that would be more interesting than him being in the Arctic. But either way, he could be in sort of some bubble surrounded by a force field.
Although I heard a theory that the Game Warden was one of the clones, and I think someone was like certain it was played by the same actor who plays that clone. But I don't think they could possibly know that for sure. But there could be a scenario where Dr. Manhattan created the clones and he created one to be
the Game Warden.
Yeah, to be his jailer.
Yeah, because that was weird too. Like we see how the clones are created, but he goes fishing for
Yeah,
babies.
I know.
What?
This episode was full Lindelof.
What? He's fishing for babies? And then like he's just casually eating cake, which appears to be the only thing he ever eats, as far as I can tell. Like I only see him eat birthday cake.
Yeah,
He's casually eating this piece of cake, and that machine is spinning around, and you hear the screaming, ah! Like it's their, like it's a terrible process. They're screaming, and then they come out and they're full-grown adults.
yeah. And that opening scene with Lady True, where she was like manipulating the couple, like that's. I mean, I guess that's not weird, but it's kind of weird. Yeah.
I actually liked that scene.
Yeah, I did too.
I thought it was a good introduction to a character. I like those sorts. It reminded me of the introduction to Irving and Mr. Robot in season 3, where it's like kind of it's very like they're very off kilter. They're very their behavior is very the way that Irving season 3 of Mr. Robot was going. Did he die? Like while he's standing there in front of the fast food restaurant. I think it's a very good character sketches. You get a very good idea immediately who this character is, and they're a very unique character because she is rich enough where she could just easily use her power to just take that house. And no, she didn't have to go through that whole thing of creating a baby for them and giving them a baby. Like she could just take the house. She's a trillion. She says she's a trillionaire.
Yeah.
So she could easily just take the house without question. But the fact that she goes through this whole thing where I think she really enjoyed the power that she gets in that scene. Like I commented to Mark that reminded me of White Rose.
The time. Yeah. I have exactly 3 minutes.
You have exactly 3 minutes. So like it was like. It reminded me of White Rose, and how she like had researched them and knew that they were trying to have a baby and couldn't, and was giving them 3 minutes to make this life-changing decision, like something that they've always wanted their whole whole lives.
The question I kept thinking of is, did she actually give them money in addition?
She did say $5 million.
Oh, she did? Oh, okay, I must have missed that.
It was kind of an off line. Yeah. She was like, and we'll deposit $5 million into your bank account, and that'll help pay for your moving costs and for baby food and college tuition and things like that. So she didn't, which $5 million is like, if she's a trillionaire, I guess would be pocket change.
Yeah.
But a lot of money, presumably, for these couples. This couple. So I mean, it speaks a lot to this character, and clearly she's going to be a pretty major player moving forward.
Oh yeah.
And Mark didn't catch this, but I had heard this character mentioned before twice. Once to mention that she was the one who was building that. In the first episode, they mentioned her name to say that she had bought out Veidt Enterprises or whatever it's called, the big company that Adrian Veidt used to own. Adrian Veidt was a billionaire too, and so she now has swallowed up his company. So whatever, and then she ended up having a statue of him. It's interesting. It was a statue of an old version of him, which means that she must have been in contact with him recently.
Yeah,
he mentioned he was in that wherever he is for 4 years.
Yeah, so that surprised me.
He hasn't been there for that long.
When he said 4 years, because I was thinking he was there like since like the events of the comic.
Yeah.
But 4 years, that sort of changes things.
Yeah, it's not been that long ago. So what was he doing the whole time before that?
Yeah, that's a good. And it seems like no one else knew him as an old person.
Yeah. Well, they thought. Remember, everybody thinks he's dead.
Yeah. Oh, do they?
Yeah, that was mentioned in last week's episode.
Oh, okay, right. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, and then there was I think it was that. What's his name? Petey or something. The FBI guy. It might have been him who said there's a theory that he's still alive. And what did they? I forget what it said. It was. I forget it now. There was some rumor going around that he's still alive doing something, but it's probably not what it is. Or that he was in Argentina, I think it was.
Oh,
something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that is where he actually is.
All right. So Yeah, a couple things in the chat just came up. Jerome says Sundays are ridiculous for me now. Watchmen, Mr. Robot, Rick and Morty are pretty much back to back. Oh, did Rick and Morty start again? I did not know this. I'll have to. I was keeping an eye out for that. I must have missed it. I'll have to check that out. Some of the Trey says, when are you bringing the Walking Dead reviews back? Laugh my ass off. Yeah, is hell frozen over yet? I'm never bringing the Walking. I've stopped watching that show. I completely given up on the show entirely. You've never seen it.
I've never watched it, mainly because, well, I've never been big into zombie stuff to begin with, and Mark has said, well, it's good in the beginning, but don't waste your time.
Yeah, I've heard that's gotten good again, but I'm like, I don't care. I'm just that show to like that season 5 finale where they showed the point of view killing who's gonna kill, like that was the death knell of the show. And I remember when I was young and screaming, I had some people like, oh, you're not gonna stop watching the show, but I did. Because that was horrible. It did take me like a year or two, but no, fuck no. I'm actually amazed that some people do watch, like Darren still. Like you're still watching that show.
Well, I have rage quit shows before because one example for me would be 24. I quit smack in the middle of a season. Like, was it season 6 or something? I don't remember what the season number was. They had at least 3 more seasons after the one that I quit watching. But it was like halfway through the season, and the Chinese ambassador calls up Jack Bauer and goes, "Mr. Bauer, if you don't do what we say, we're going to hurt your girlfriend." And I'm like, really? I just get so sick of the same tropes being repeated over and over and over again. I was like, I'm done. This is it. I quit watching it. I believe at the time it coincided. It actually conflicted with Heroes, which I was watching at the time.
Although that went downhill.
That went downhill. I think it was actually when Heroes was good. Like
season 1.
Season 1.
Because that was the only time it was good.
Yeah.
Season 1.
I think it was when Heroes was good in season 1 and 24 conflicted with it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about this conflict. I'm just watching Heroes. Fuck 24. Because of that. It was just like repeating the same tropes over and over and over again for 6 seasons. I'm like, I'm done. So when I say I'm going to rage quit a show, if people don't believe me, I will also rage quit a show. Mark is the same way. We will actually quit a show. And there are still things Mr. Robot could do to cause me to rage quit, but I don't.
Well, if Vera kills, well, I was going to say Olivia, but not after last night's episode. That's different. If Vera kills Krista or something, and he gets the better of Elliot again, it's like, and runs off, and I'm like, I might rage quit. But I very hope that's not. All right, so a few more things in the chat. So Jerome says premiere for Rick and Morty came on back last night. Season 4 is doing the first 5 episodes and taking a break and coming back to finish. I hate when shows do that. Like an even split, I can do fine, but you just tease 5 episodes. Just wait until they release them all. But of course, I'm going to watch them. And then the Symmetry says, "Come on, The Walking Dead can't end worse than Game of Thrones with Dumb and Dumber." Well, I don't know.
Is Walking Dead ever going to end though? It seems like it's just one of those shows like 24.
Yeah, exactly. That's the better example because it doesn't really equate to Game of Thrones because Game of Thrones ended too early because they rushed through the ending where Walking Dead should have ended forever ago. It's just gonna keep going like 24, just keep going forever and just repeating all the same exact format over and over again. And I was like, there's no point in watching it. It gets boring. So it's not a matter of it ending worse. It's a matter of that show's already become useless. And then Jerome says, as fans of the comics can say The Walking Dead show is better, but that's not a high bar. It's not trash anymore, but I can't even bother watching it either. Yeah, I mean, he has to say, even I hear it's better, I'm still not going to watch it. Oh, the comics ended? Oh, the comics actually ended. Well, because I don't think like this show they're talking about, they want to do all these spin-offs and like doing
I think the show will just go on forever.
Yeah, AMC is just milking it for money, even though it's not making as much money as it used to. It's still the highest by far, so they're going to milk the fuck out of it. Anyway, so was there anything else of we kind of switched topics with?
Yeah, I think we've moved on from the Watchmen now.
I think there was something I wanted to say, but I can't remember.
Well, we can always get back to it.
Yeah.
What is Carl Doomsday saying? Game of Thrones ended for me when the Syrian became a white.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with that. I don't know. Like, I think because that was like episode 6. I think episode 5 of season 7. Like episode 4 of season 7 to me was the last episode of the Game of Thrones. After that, it was just this half like skeleton bullshit.
I'd go back to like maybe episode 2. No, what was the Loot Train episode?
That was episode 4.
Episode 4. Okay.
Yeah, so that's
episode
the one I mentioned. Yeah,
the
Loot Train. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh well. You want to answer Norman's question?
So, what does Acton think of Mark's revisions of Lost so far? I'll let you know as soon as I watch it. I haven't gotten around to watching them yet.
Yeah,
but I plan to.
I told you about a few of them.
Yeah.
And hello, M. How's it
going? Yeah, I had thought about doing my own Lost rewatch, but I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. Like I don't know. I'm looking at the episode titles for the first season. And I'm like, God, I just feel like I've seen all those freaking times. I don't know, but I'm not feeling it right now. So I will probably eventually do a Lost rewatch. I'm trying to talk me into doing Deep Space Nine rewatch, which I will probably. I'm thinking I might do in the next, I don't know, few months maybe.
Yeah, I enjoyed my Lost rewatch, but I would definitely recommend Deep Space Nine. Because you haven't even seen all of Deep Space Nine, like all the episodes.
I think there is a possibility that I've missed some of the episodic episodes in the later seasons. I definitely have went back and caught up with all the Dominion stuff.
Yeah,
whatever I missed. So, what the story is that I think I moved away to college or something. I don't know, and I just didn't have a regular. I just kind of fell off Deep Space Nine a little bit when it came on. So many of the episodes I went back and caught later after the fact that Mark recorded a bunch of them. So I made sure that I got all of the Dominion ones at least. But I think there's probably still some gaps in the last couple seasons, probably season 6 or 7 that I may have never seen, but it would have been the episodic ones, not any of the Dominion ones.
But even the ones you have seen, it's been years.
Yeah.
Much longer than Lost.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, so was Symmetry, if you were stranded on an island, would you guys be more like Jack Shepard, believing it was random, or John Locke believing it was from grand purpose? Well, it depends. Are we talking about smoke monsters and weird shit happening? Then I might be more like John Locke. But if it was a normal island, sure, I'd be like Jack.
Yeah, if it was just a normal island and nothing was happening and nobody like magically got healed from a wheelchair that could walk around. Now, I mean, if I was in a wheelchair and I was magically healed, yes, I would be John Locke. Of course I would be. But if not, I'm probably going to be more like Jack. So it depends more on the exact circumstances.
All right. So Valentine Voss says the Picard series will have returning characters from TNG and Voyager, but none so far from Deep Space Nine. If they add a Deep Space Nine character, who would you think fit best? Worf is excluded. O'Brien, then.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I
think Brian's kind of cheating too.
Yeah,
because he was on the Enterprise. So do you want to, let's say somebody. I'm going to modify your question. We should say somebody who wasn't on the
Enterprise. then Bashir, maybe.
Yeah,
someone Starfleetish. I mean, Odo would be cooler though, but they would have to explain what the deal when they came back from the Dominion, so that would be too complicated.
Yeah, I don't think Odo would.
And Sisko, they'd have to explain what happened with him at the Prophet, so it couldn't be him.
Could it be Kira?
I don't think. Yeah, they would. That was more of a Bajor. Yeah, I don't know. I think Bashir or Dax would probably be the two most likely.
There was actually Mark had mentioned to me a rumor that Dax could appear in Discovery.
Yeah,
with just being 1,000 years older, being obviously a completely different host.
Yeah, because they were like in the trailers, they were showing some Trill stuff, and they were showing like those caves where they used to keep the Trill symbionts. But that might just be wild speculation. And the whole yes, M says I hope Q returns. I don't know if you saw this, but there's all these rumor mills about Q being in Star Trek and Picard just because they're like someone saw a photograph of a hand that looks like the judge outfit that Q used to wear all the time.
Cardinal Doomsday says gotta disagree because Q would look so old. Well, they could do like a Terminator. Come up with some excuse as to why.
Oh yeah, there's some excuse.
They could come up with some excuse as to why he looks old. Or they could de-age him.
Yeah.
But they could be like, I decided to look like an old human. I mean, they could come up with some dumb
Norman says Major Kira all the way. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see her fitting into Picard.
I would see it more as a cameo. Like, we have to stop by Bajor for something. And, there's Major Kira. Because I could see
I see why they're including 7 of 9. Because it seems like it's going to be Borg related.
Right.
And so that makes perfect sense. But Kira seems kind of just...
Kira to me would be like, it's a cameo. Like, we got to stop by Bajor and say hi. We got to pick something up with Bajor or something.
All right. I'm missing a lot of these chats. Chat's going too fast. Okay. That's all good.
Norman Buckwald says we don't know the full lifespan of those worms, so it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it seems like they could just keep going forever.
And M says Nicole Boyer should return. For Picard, you're talking about, sure, but definitely not Discovery. Yeah. Because she'd be long dead.
Yeah.
I actually watched the first 5 episodes of The Expanse, but then Major League Baseball playoffs happened for a month, and now I'm playing the video game Death Stranding and have to finish the painting. It's good, though. Yeah, enough of your excuses. Watch The Expanse.
I didn't realize Jerome hadn't watched The Expanse yet.
Yeah. You should definitely make the time to watch The Expanse. Norman Buckwell said Cassidy Yates, who is now dating a robot. Yeah, I don't know. Cassidy Yates wouldn't really. She's such a minor.
Put Isaac in there too.
Yeah,
do a crossover. do a crossover to that crappy show. I'm sorry.
The plagiarism.
Yeah. The show that plagiarizes Star Trek. Plagiarizesville. Okay.
All right.
Better stop before we.
Yeah, we're gonna get tons of dislikes on the video now.
Oh no! How dare you! How dare you insult the
Orville is sacred?
It plagiarizes Star Trek. I'm sorry, but it's just they should be sued. It's ridiculous.
I can hear the dislikes.
Yeah.
Anyway. So Simba Trey says, Looky, miss you guys going in how Littlefinger found the teleport and how everyone else later started teleporting from King's Landing to Winterfell into so someone got a hold of Littlefinger's teleporter. Everyone got a hold of it.
It got to a point where it's just like I don't even care anymore because it's just you just accept that everybody just teleports.
And even all of King's Landing teleported to the desert.
I didn't notice that until we watched the honest trailer for Game of Thrones season 6 and 8, in which I had never seen the honest trailer, and they pointed that out. I actually didn't even notice that before.
Oh, you haven't? Yeah. Oh, I noticed that. A lot of YouTubers pointed that out.
Yeah.
And I miss when you guys say, let's go murder them. The thing is, because for season 6, that was crazy cheesy, but then season 7 and 8, there was too much. That wasn't even that big of a deal anymore.
Yeah, it was, particularly with Euron himself.
Yeah.
That was the least.
Yeah, least of the He just shows up out of nowhere to kill Jaime. Oh, I killed him. It's what the fuck is happening? So Adam says, I didn't like The Expanse at first, but 6 episodes and it was great. Yeah, I think it does take a while to get going, and I think that alienates a lot of people. So who was that? I think was it I can't remember. Jerome earlier was saying that it's just getting into it. Yeah, it kicks off. You have to get towards the end of season 1 where it really gets addictive. Valentine Voss says, now that Viacom CBS has merged, what do you think will be the effect on future shows and movie tie-ins? I don't know. I don't know if it will. A lot of the people involved with the studios are saying that it won't have an effect, but they always say that. So I don't know. I mean, we could possibly. I don't think we're ever going to get like a DS9 movie or Voyager movie.
No.
But I think there could be like a mini series on CBS All Access. Possibly, but even that I would be seriously doubting.
Yeah.
What?
Do you also not get that one?
No. Let's see. When I went to New York City Comic Con, they had a small mock-up spaceship interior that gave us a thermal. Yeah, you're lucky. I wanted to go to that. Did you hear about the Expanse? They had a mock-up of the.
I did not.
Rosinante, and they had like a little. I can't remember what they called, but it was basically a play where they're like playing out some scenes from season 4 where people were like, oh, the Belters were attacking, and they're all talking Belter voices. Yeah, they had that in San Diego Comic Con. When I heard they were doing it in New York Comic Con, I was tempted to go, but then I was like, I can't afford that. It took much time off work and to pay all the money to go up to New York City.
Yeah, and also, I mean, how much is Comic Con itself?
Yeah. And plus, you probably have to sign up for it in order to get in.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and you hadn't even watched the show. Yeah, so you probably got spoiled a bit because they were talking about season 4 stuff. But yeah. Okay. All right, so are you looking forward to this next week Marvel, or the next Marvel phase? Well,
let's talk about the next Marvel phase. That's a good question. That gives us a good topic.
First of all, Valentine Voss, yes, fuck the Muse. Okay, anyway, continue.
That is Deep Space Nine.
That is a Deep Space Nine reference. Yeah. Hate that episode.
Which episode is that?
It's the one where Loxana Troy comes and marries Odo, and Jake Sisko's having like this muse says, "Oh right," and it's like
the unfortunate thing is that is not one that I missed. I definitely remember that one.
And it's terrible, right? Yeah. Right, Cardinal Doomsday is terrible because I know he doesn't hate it that much. It's terrible.
I think just about anything with Loxana Troy was terrible.
Yes, especially on Deep Space Nine. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
But even Next Generation, not everything was terrible. Like, what was the one with the Worf and Alexander? That was kind of funny.
Yes, exactly. Cost of Living.
Yeah. But Manhunt season 2 episode was one of my least favorite Star Trek episodes ever. Yeah. But yeah, okay. So let's talk about Marvel Phase 4. Do you think the universe should have ended with Endgame, and then Norman says, which Endgame? Voyagers? No, not Voyagers. He's talking about...
That's so combative to me now because I can't like Voyager Endgame. I always used to go around saying how much Endgame sucked, but now Endgame is the name of one of my favorite movies, so I can't say that anymore.
You made the statement to me that you think it might be one of your favorite movies of all time now.
Yes, yeah, I do after watching it recently.
Yeah, so, Marvel Phase 4, I'll be interested to see where they're going with it. Seems like there's going to be some multiverse involvement. The Doctor Strange movie is called The Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
So, and I'm thinking we may get the start of this in the Black Widow, which I believe is the first thing.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm wondering if this is going to be a Black Widow that's alive in another universe, and that's what we're going to go, or is it just going to be a pure prequel flashback?
Yeah. I mean, I heard it was going to prequel, but that maybe...
I could also see a scenario where they make you think it's a prequel until the end and you realize, oh, it's another universe. Oh, like I could see that as a possibility.
Well, because we know they're doing a Loki show on Disney Plus, which is going to be the Loki we saw in Endgame from it, so it's going to take place in the parallel universe. alternate dimension where he got away with the Tesseract at the end of Avengers. And they're doing the WandaVision with Vision, who's dead, and Wanda, and apparently that's going to be really freaky and weird and like be multi-dimensional. And yeah, you already talked about Doctor Strange, where the title is like the multiverse?
The multiverse of madness. Doctor
yeah.
Strange and the multiverse of madness. It is called.
And they're doing What If as well.
Yeah.
Which is all about looking at this. So it does seem like they are gonna. So I'm actually really looking forward to it. Like, I know a lot of people thought that, oh, it should have just ended after Endgame. First of all, of course it's not, because it make tons of money.
Yeah.
But secondly, I don't mind. Like, I think there is more story. I think the nature of it, where it's not something like The Walking Dead or 24, where it's just going to get tiresome, where they're just repeating the same things over and over.
Well, because they have a whole wide universe of characters they haven't even tapped into yet. I mean, now they've got the rights for Fantastic Four, they've got the rights for X-Men, which they have not announced any plans for any of those yet. But those down the line can be a part of it. There's just so much more they can do. And there's so many characters. Mark and I were just talking about the Moon Knight show. Was
Moon Knight.
I forgot all about the Moon Knight. Moon Knight was the comic book that I only read because they used to do crossover tie-ins through, like Secret Wars, and I forget some of the other ones that, that you would have to read all the different comic books in order to follow the whole story. And so you'd have to, I got to pick up the new issue of Moon Knight because it's tied into whatever the crossover is that they're doing now. I forgot all about the damn Moon Knight.
Yeah.
And I also forgot all about the Black Knight was actually an Avenger when I was reading comics. He was in the Avengers.
The Black
Knight was and that's the character that Kit Harington is supposedly.
Oh,
playing.
Really?
Beginning in, he's first going to appear in the Eternals.
Oh, okay.
But I remember this character. He was in the Avengers when I used to read it in the 80s and 90s.
Don't remember this character at all.
He's a very, very kind of minor character, but he was in the damn Avengers, and like a super minor character. And they're having Jon Snow play him. So they got so many characters they can. I
heard that Rob Stark was going to be in the Eternals.
Yeah, Rob Stark, I think, is going to be one of the Eternals.
Yeah.
I don't think the Black Knight is, I would assume, not going to be one of the Eternals.
Was he one of the dudes in Excalibur?
No, I don't. You would think so.
Was
Excalibur was mutants?
Oh, it was mutants.
Yeah.
I was trying to think
because
if it was the English X-Men or was the English Avengers. I couldn't remember.
It was the English X-Men.
It was the English X-Men. Okay.
Yeah, because Kitty Pryde.
Oh, right.
Excalibur.
Yeah.
I believe Nightcrawler also was an Excalibur.
Okay.
But I could see where you get it mixed up with the Avengers because they had like Captain England or something,
Well,
or Captain Britain or something.
All right, M says casting a white guy as Black Knight sense trouble. But wasn't he a white character in the comics?
Yeah,
black refers to his armor.
Black refers to the Black Knight is a traditional term to refer to an evil knight, although he's not evil. But it predates. Before Europeans even really went to Africa or even knew about black people. Black Knight is just an old term. It doesn't refer to the color of your skin. It refers to the color of your armor. So I don't think it's probably.
And then Valentine Vest says, I heard they were going to use Doctor Strange 2 and Into the Spider-Verse to connect the two universes and include cameo Tobey Maguire and Garfield. Yeah, this sounds like crazy off-the-wall theories from fake videos.
Well, the Spider-Verse is not connected to the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank God, by the way, thank God that Spider-Man is still going to be in the
yeah. Yeah, I was really going to be iffy about the whole thing if he wasn't.
Yeah, I was going to be less iffy about the MCU than I would have been about any future Spider-Man movie. I was just going to not ever watch any future Spider-Man movie ever again if it wasn't in the MCU, because what's the damn point? As for the MCU without Spider-Man, a little iffy, but I think they could have been fine.
Well, if they because they're contracted for one more in the independent Spider-Man movie and one more Spider-Man appearance in another movie, and if they try to close it off with that, then that might work better. Whereas the end of Far From Home was left all these cliffhangers.
Yeah,
and plus they're just playing it off like he's going to be the next Iron Man.
Yeah, which I don't think that's going to be the case necessarily because of the contracts between Sony and MCU. Norman Buckland says, "Sorry, when I think of Black Knight, I think it's just a flesh wound."
Yeah. Was that the Black Knight?
Yeah, I think he was called the Black Knight. Like, it's just a flesh wound. 'Tis but a scratch.
He says Sony bargained hard, but so does Disney. I think, I don't take sides on that. I think they're both being a bit unreasonable.
Yeah, I think they're both putting money above fans. Like they don't give a crap about like what the fans actually want. They just wonder who's going to make.
I've heard the opinion that like Disney leaked the whole thing to try as a bargaining tactic to try to get Sony to.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean,
because they could see how and they tried to play it up. Oh, look how Sony's taking Spider-Man away from the MCU. They're evil. Go attack them.
Yeah, I can definitely buy that. Yeah, that's what happened.
Valentin Voss says, I really enjoyed El Camino. Can't wait for season 5 of Better Call Saul and Mark's reviews. Absolutely. Have you seen El Camino yet?
Oh, yeah, I saw it. We talked about it.
I don't recall talking about it. Did we talk? Are you sure? I don't remember talking about this at all.
I thought we emailed about it, but I don't know. But yes, I did see it.
So what did you think of El Camino?
Yeah, I liked it. I only watched Breaking Bad once through, and it was after I binged it after it was all done. So I didn't follow it week to week. So I feel like I'm not as like attached to it as a lot of people are. Like a lot of people were like it was a show they were into week to week. Like for me, that would be Lost, that would be BSG, that would be Game of Thrones. But I was never like really into it for like that. I just watched it binge watched it once after it aired. So there's a lot of things that I didn't remember at all. From Breaking Bad. Like I pretty much forgot the whole series. So like who the dude at the vacuum cleaner shop.
Yeah,
like,
the Disappear.
The Disappear. Like I listened to a podcast and I watched Mark's video that like you guys talked about things like and then said like the podcast I listened to said who the Disappear was.
Like, you didn't recognize him?
I recognized him, but I was like, who? Wait, what? Who's he again? Like I recognized that guy was in Breaking Bad. I was like, what was he doing? What? So like there's a lot of memory gaps I had that had to be filled in by supplemental material. But overall, I thought it was a good story, and I liked that they ended with him getting a happy ending.
Yeah.
Like ending up in, by the way, spoilers.
Oh, right. Guess I should have said that. That's all.
Well, you don't know specifically what happened.
But Noah Buckwald says, I had too high expectations for El Camino and was disappointed. I have to rewatch it with more realistic expectation. I can totally see that because I was a bit off-put at first because I was expecting to be more action-oriented, more like a high drama punch like Ozymandias. But once I sort of accepted that it was more of a calm, like meditative tone to it, I did really appreciate it. And the more I thought about it in those terms, the more I liked it and the more I think it really works. And I think it was like the thing that pissed me off the most, so many YouTube channels, was it necessary? And some critics will say, it wasn't really necessary, but I still liked it. And I say, you're all wrong. It was totally necessary because to tie up Jesse's storyline. And I can see why they wouldn't want to do it in the main show because the main show was about Walter White and he was the focus, but you needed to tie up Jesse's storyline. Seeing what they did, I think it was 100% necessary. Yeah.
They're just shaming me for not remembering. Sorry, I only watched it once. It was not my thing. Like I wasn't like obsessed with it. I liked it, but I wasn't like a huge fan like Mark or other people. So I binge watched the whole thing after it came out. I liked it. I just it wasn't into it enough to remember every little freaking detail. Sorry.
Yeah. And to be fair, like when I watch Better Call Saul, they make a lot of references to Breaking Bad, though I do not remember. So I've been meaning to go back and rewatch it, but I just hadn't had time. Cinema Traces was more of an epilogue. I was expecting a classic action-packed Breaking Bad story with Jesse, which I guess makes me fall into the camp with too high expectations. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I can kind of understand. I was kind of expecting something different too. But I don't know if I would really call it an epilogue, but I suppose you could.
I feel like it was an epilogue.
You reckon? All right.
Yeah, all I knew about it was just going to focus on Jesse. Again, I wasn't I was more of a casual viewer, honestly. It would be a good description for me as far as Breaking Bad goes. So, I just thought it would. Oh, cool. We'll find out what happened to Jesse afterwards, and that. So I didn't have any particular expectations that it was going to be action packed or.
Oh, okay. Right.
So I liked it. I thought it was a good a good closure to
I stand by
story.
I stand by my 10 out of 10 for it. I think it is masterfully, the cinematography and the acting and everything. I think was completely all top notch. All right, well, I want to talk about Valentin Voss says maybe something completely different. What are your opinions on the huge disparities on Rotten Tomatoes and other critics' sites between the scores of official critics and the viewers, like Joker? Like Joker just being one example, but just in general. Because I think that's very interesting, because whenever I see that disparity, I think that looks interesting to me. Like that the critics and the audience scores don't agree.
Do you think that the critics are on the payroll, or they?
I don't think that. I think usually when people say other critics are on the payroll, because Rotten Tomatoes, people who say that don't understand how Rotten Tomatoes works. It's surveys tons of different critics from everywhere, from all different sites. There's no set group of critics meeting in a smoke-filled room going, hey, we're getting payoffs. Sure? They're totally different. People always try to bring up this bullshit with controversy warning with Last Jedi. I know the guy I used to live with would constantly be all the critics are ball off, and but I'm like, no, there's tons of different critics with different feelings and different opinions. And I think for the most part that's true. But I think sometimes, and I did talk about this before, that sometimes the critics will get in their bubble because they watch a lot of movies and they watch a lot of keep up with the Hollywood news and everything. And sometimes if they hear a movie has trouble in pre-production or the reshoot, they predetermine that movie sucks. And when they go see it, they've already determined that it sucks.
Critics or fans?
Critics.
Yeah, because fans do that too.
Oh, do they? I found critics do that more. Personally.
Yeah, but if it's something leaks out into the media, they're having production problems. What was an example that I'm trying to think of? They're having production problems, that automatically makes people think, it sucks just because.
For me, I always think of X-Men Apocalypse. Yeah, because I love that movie. Yeah. And all the critics are that sucks. And whenever they talk about it sucks, they always bring up the production issues. Yeah. I'm well, you're just letting that predetermine how you view this movie.
Yeah. What else we got in the chat here?
Some of the critics are snobby and they don't view comic book movies as art and it's just for kids and is only for fun. They just puts the section as don't put them in the same section art, Shawshank Redemption or other drama types of movies. I'm sure that's the case, but I actually see more of, I guess because I follow YouTube critics, I see more from the other direction. That some of the critics go crazy over anything comic book, and they are more likely.
I think you're thinking more of the traditional, Siskel and Ebert type of, obviously not Siskel and Ebert themselves anymore, but those type of
more like newspaper critics.
Yeah, newspaper critics.
Yeah,
but I feel like that's becoming an extinct race.
Yeah,
I don't think that those are the majority at all anymore.
And that's why you're going to see more comic book movies get nominated for Oscars because it's evolving, and also because the Oscars are becoming irrelevant, so they want to appeal to younger mainstream audiences. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see Endgame get nominated
for Best Picture.
For Best Picture, yeah. Apparently, they're campaigning hard to do it. Apparently. Like Black Panther did. And I'm sorry. I like Black Panther, but that does not deserve to get nominated. I would put Endgame before I would do Black Panther, personally.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, I like Black Panther, but Best Picture was,
Yeah. What else? Let me see. I can't wait for season 5 next year. Everyone keeps talking about how much faster the story is going to move. Got my brother to binge both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Already talking about Better Call Saul. Yeah, I've been waiting for the story to move faster forever, and I just come to accept this slow pace. Slow as hell. Let's see. Oh yeah, did you hear about the Martin Scorsese thing? Everyone's making such a huge deal about
what
he said.
Oh, not being art.
Yeah, he said that comic book movies, Marvel in particular, aren't art.
Why should I give a crap what Martin Scorsese says?
Because he's a brilliant director. Yeah, I don't care. He can think it's not. I mean, I disagree.
Has he watched him? I mean, is he even familiar with? No, he just looks at it and goes, "Oh, it's a comic book movie." Like, I don't care what he says.
Yeah, like he got a lot of shit for it, and he went to like clarify what he meant. I don't really care. Like, yes, Colonel Doomsday, newspaper critics still exist. Like 70-year-olds like my dad still read newspapers.
Yeah, they still exist. And do TV critics still exist? Like on news? Remember our local news when we were kids?
Oh, right.
This really obnoxious guy with a bow tie.
Yeah, God, I hate that fucking guy.
Yes. Like, do they still have things like that? Like, do local newscasts still have movie critics, or is that gone now?
I have no idea. I never watched those. Yeah. But what do you think? Like, because getting back to like whenever I get a Rotten Tomatoes and there's just disparity between like the audience vote, because sometimes I side with the audience and sometimes I side with the critics. Like I think the Butterfly Effect, I actually really like that movie, and it's got a really high audience score, but like a rotten critic score.
Oh, I thought the Butterfly Effect had low scores from everybody.
Oh no, it had a high.
I like that movie.
Yeah, yeah. But something like Batman v Superman, like that has a high audience score and a low critic score, and I side with the critics on that one. Yeah. I think it was just sort of fans of Batman and Superman, which I never was. Yeah. So I didn't have that pre-investment in it.
I have no idea why there's a disparity. I don't even have a thought on that, why that would be.
Yeah. I mean, it's always interesting when there is. Like stuff like Batman v Superman, and it's because of there's a huge following or something. Or like Last Jedi would be a reverse example. There was all these haters that added, so they... so they attacked the score. Really, I don't think that audience score reflects what the general audience thinks. It's just it got swamped by trolls.
Yeah.
My dad wrote for newspapers, so the question was serious. Oh, yeah? Well, at least in America. I don't know how it is in Australia. Valentine Voss, I'm in the Netherlands and have Disney Plus since 2 months. It's pretty cool. What? It's just coming out tomorrow. They're doing it earlier in the Netherlands. Okay. What are your takes on the inevitable streaming war between Apple, Netflix, Disney, and others? Well, I was talking about this earlier with my other brother, actually, about how I feel like the piracy is going to be on the rise again because it went down before because stuff became more available, but now there's too many fucking streaming services and no one can afford to pay for them all, so the piracy is going to shoot back up again. I think they're already showing that this is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to pay for all these goddamn services.
Yeah, I'm not going to get something unless there's something I need to watch on it. And if there's just one show, then I'll get rid of it as soon as I finish watching that show, CBS All Access.
Is in Apple, Netflix, Disney, and
NBC's doing one.
NBC's doing one. Don't forget Hulu's still out there.
Yeah, and Hulu's still out there.
NBC's doing one. CBS already has one. I imagine ABC is.
There's a DC Comics one.
Yeah, ABC is tied into Disney though, so they might be connected. I don't know, but
because Disney owns Fox now, so they own Hulu, but they're still too sad. I think their plan was because they wanted to keep Disney Plus kid oriented or family friendly, that anything that's not kid friendly will go to Hulu.
Oh, okay. So the Marvel stuff is going to be family friendly?
Yeah, it is. It's considered family friendly. Like I go and see Marvel movies. There's always tons of kids there watching it, even though it is kind of violent.
And Apple, I don't really know anything. Like I don't know anything that I'm interested in that's going to be on it. So
yeah, I've seen a few previews, but I'm like, yeah, it's not worth getting this damn thing over.
Yeah. So, and Amazon.
Oh yeah, don't forget Amazon.
Because Amazon has The Expanse on it now.
You know, I don't know, but I've actually found recently more interesting stuff on Amazon than Netflix. I'm also almost leaning towards Amazon more because it had like The Boys, The Expanse, Undone. I watched a show called Hannah that was pretty interesting. Where for a while Netflix didn't really have much. I mean, then Dark. I went back to it when Dark came on.
Yeah, Cardinal Doomsday says my other brother in quotes, TM.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like Mr. Robot, the other.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a third brother who has zero interest in sci-fi entertainment or any of this stuff. Doesn't even watch TV. So. Let's see. Jordan says, I feel like it's less of an issue people make out it to be. There's always movies that critics and audiences would agree and disagree on. It's just when they disagree when the media make it a bigger issue. Well, it's more interesting to me when they disagree because they tend to agree, like roughly. So I always find it interesting because I was talking about because critics I don't think are the end all be all. Like I can watch because recently on the plane. In fact, I watched this on the shorter flight, so I didn't get to see the whole thing. But I was watching Alita Battle Angel, and I hadn't seen that before because I was putting it off because the critics were kind of mixed about it. Were kind of, it's not a very good movie. And I liked it. I thought it was much better than these critics were making it out to be. So I guess it just shows that the critics, like, they're not an end-all, be-all.
The critics can be right sometimes because when the critic's not very high on the movie we watched the other day.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Mortal Engines. Yeah. And that movie was not good.
Yeah. See, that's another movie I was putting off because the critics. And I was like, well, the critics were wrong about Alita, so maybe they're wrong about Mortal Engines. No, they were totally right. They were completely right about Mortal Engines. So you don't know. It's like a crapshoot. But when the critics like overwhelmingly, particularly when they overwhelmingly say a movie sucks, then I know to stay the hell away from it. Like, I always tell the story about how when After Earth, the M. Night Shyamalan movie with Will Smith came out, I got it on DVD, and before I watched it, I got home and looked up the Rotten Tomatoes score. It says 2%. And I was like, oh, fuck. I should have looked this up before I rented it. And sure enough, it was a total piece of shit. Let's see. As long as I'm not forced to watch Disney, I'm fine with it. Well, you're not forced to watch anything, like.
But you're not going to watch the Mandalorian, the new Star Wars one, or you're not going to. Oh, Cardinal Doomsday's not really into the MCU, huh? Or I don't know. You're not going to watch any of the Marvel stuff, or the new Star Wars thing. I mean, that's on Disney. Yeah,
you cracked the mystery, Cardinal Doomsday. Our brother is the third, the third personality. Yeah. Well, do you want to talk a bit about that Mortal Engines movie? Have we talked about that?
Yeah. So we got about 10 minutes before we need to wrap.
Oh yeah.
But we're going to go meet with our third before Mark flies back to the East Coast. So, yeah, we watched this crappy movie. I mean, we've seen worse movies. It's not the worst, but somebody brought up in the chat earlier the Black Knight when it's just a flesh wound. But that's what we were saying is Hugo Weaving is in this movie. His character gets like stabbed right in the chest.
Yeah, it's like at the start of the movie.
Yeah, at the beginning of the movie. 'Tis but a scratch. And like at one point, he just kind of does his half-ass limp to show that he's injured, but then most of the time he's just totally fine immediately.
Yeah, and there's a flashback to where, spoilers for a crappy movie you shouldn't watch, but there's a flashback where it shows like he kills the main character's mother and he stabs her the exact same way that he got stabbed. I'm like, why is she dying? And yeah, he's perfectly fine. And then I was just like, he's Arya.
He's got Arya's powers of Wolverine that she had.
That's actually almost worse than Arya because at least Arya was bedridden.
Yeah. And nothing happened to him. Yeah. Like he's totally fine.
He was just walking with the limp, going, ugh. Like you should have much more than just a fucking limp.
But you know what made it worth watching that movie is the Honest trailer. We watched the Honest trailer afterwards, and it was hilarious.
Hester!
In the Honest trailer, they also mentioned how there's no, you'll never remember any of these characters' names. Well, Mark and I had already concluded that since this is based off of a novel, that they tried to cram too much of a novel into 2 hours of a movie. You could tell they tried to cram too much into a movie. There were all these characters that were just completely pointless, but people who read the book were probably like, oh, yeah, there's that guy, and there's that guy. But there was way too many characters. And Hugo Weaving had a daughter who at the beginning of the movie seemed like the daughter was going to be a really important character. And then she just disappears for the majority of the movie and like reappears toward the end. And we're like, oh, yeah, there's that character. She's in this movie.
Yeah, she's in this movie.
Yeah, just too many characters.
Yeah, and they reference like all these like groups of people and situations without explaining who they are. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I totally know who they are. And I also even said like the first like half hour of the movie was just exposition, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely they try to cram too. That's what happens. There's so many movies like that. You just try to cram too much.
And Colonel Doomsday says, I was watching Hugo Weaving before Lord of the Rings. Well, la-di-da.
Yeah, it's called The Matrix, Colonel Doomsday. Every people watching him before Lord of the Rings. Well, I know what you mean. I actually saw a few Australian movies with him. And my favorite is The Interview. I saw it the first time I went to New Zealand. Yeah. But oh
well. Have you all heard about the multiple Star Wars rewrites?
No. Are you talking about like the Dan Dave trilogy that got canceled and the Rian Johnson trilogy got canceled? Because my understanding is that they're putting basically all their plans on hold until they see what the Mandalorian does.
Yeah.
And what's the movie? What the hell?
The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Wait and see how these do. And then
so you're talking about they rewrote the Rise of Skywalker?
Oh, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Clarify.
Because if so, then I would have to see some official things to say that before I believe it. Because there's all the rumors flying around that I don't really buy any of them. And then Valentine Voss says that James Dean estate sold the use of his likeness, and they're planning to resurrect him in a movie with CGI. A bit morbid, a step too far. I think it's kind of dumb. I think it's just a pull money thing.
Yeah, and also I don't care. Like I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I don't know what you mean, Colonel Doomsday, but we're not wrong. All right, I think we gotta go. We gotta wrap this thing up now. Thanks so much for everyone in the chat who participated. Anyone who's watching this afterwards, just be sure to keep following my channel and checking out what I'm doing. And Afkin, you want to give a quick shout out?
Yeah, I've got a couple things going on my channel. I've got Mr. Robot 2 videos a week. And I'm also watching his Dark Materials, so I'm going to watch it tonight, so maybe I'll do a review on it. I don't know. I may or may not do a review on that, but definitely a review on Mr. Robot. Mark and I are probably going to do a discussion video on Mr. Robot next week, I think, sometime after episode 7 here. So
yeah, like our half season.
Our half season review. Hopefully get Darren in there too. It sounds like he might be able to join us, Darren from D's Reviews. So we got that coming up. Cardinal Doomsday says, "Is his Dark Materials aired yet?" Yes, episode 1 was last week. Episode 2 is tonight here, or at least in the States. I don't know what they do over there in Australia. But the second episode is coming on tonight. So I will be probably reviewing that occasionally. I might also review The Watchmen occasionally, but my main gig is Mr. Robot. So definitely check out my channel for that.
So yeah, and I got more stuff coming up. I got finishing up my Lost, how I would write it, and I'm doing a Lost countdown. I'm doing the Enterprise countdown at the end of the month, and Wednesday, I'm going to upload my final Marvel MCU where I cover the last 6 movies or last 5 movies. Yeah, last 5 movies of the MCU, the most recent ones. So yeah, check that out. Anyway, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.